We are at a very important moment in EBENTO with a mix of emotions, a lot of happiness for everything we have achieved, and excitement to finally show our results, but also a little bit of sadness because the journey is coming to an end. And this is a special moment. We didn't want to miss the opportunity to talk with some of our amazing colleagues from the pilot sites of the evento. Today, we are very happy to interview our dear colleague Alejandro Alonso from Valencia Sostenible, who leads the Valencia pilot site. Hi, Alejandro. How are you doing today?
Hello, good morning. Everything fine? And yeah, I'm
Yes.
sure the idea of this sadness and happiness of finishing the event.
Yeah, it's a mix of emotions right now, right? Let's jump into uh, our interview for today. So can you tell us more about you and where you work and what was your role within a Bento project?
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, I'm Alejandro Alonso. I'm the project officer of the participation of Valencia Sostenible in Evento Consortium. So my role here is gathering all the participation of the volunteers in the Evento pilot site, and also doing the consortium work and sharing the data and going further in the collaboration with the stakeholders and also with the colleagues in the other cities in the project.
And can you briefly describe your pilot in Valencia in the Mediterranean area and the main challenges you wanted to solve at the beginning of the project?
Sure. So the Valencia broke the pilot of two twin towers, residential towers. They were committing their own renovation project for the insulation of the facade, for thermal insulation. And we enrolled them in the project to share energy consumption data and also comfort data, such as temperature and humidity and CO2 levels, so we can have information on how this building performed before the renovation and after that. And the challenge of it is that this data is quite private, let's say, for the homeowners. So there is also always you have to approach them in a very trustworthy relationship in order to have them positively enroll on it. So this was a main challenge to access to this volunteer data and have them connected through the whole project, because this renovation it lasts more than 2 years. These projects are long, so the trust is key for success.
So big mission, big challenge, no pressure, right?
Not at all. It was.
Uh, so now let's talk about people. So what type of users were involved in the pilot site, and approximately how many participate?
So this is a big neighbor community. It has more than 130 flats in it. So we had enrolled from the architect also, because he was also very open to share what technically the project was. But mainly it was the work was with the homeowners. We had a sample of 23 flats participating. So they have these 23 families or individuals participating. And we had also some particularity on it, is that this building also has many of their neighbors are either teachers or technical informed people on that, or have like a engineering or architect profiles. So it was at some point very easy to talk in these terms, but we also point out that this is not common. Sometimes approaching people in terms of renovation is not easy. Some concepts are not understood. So in this case, we were lucky, but even with that, it's always a challenge.
And how did you engage them actually? For example, workshops, co-creation activities, I don't know.
As I mentioned before, the trust is key for this. So the main way of contact them is in person. They have to know what person is going to be in contact with them, what person is going to be in their homes, sharing the data. So we were in contact with the community, in-person visits to the building before visiting their home. But also we rely in our proximity offices because we have what the so-called energy offices in Valencia, which are the physical one-stop shops for energy information and formation. So we also use our workshops to do it more open, the participation, and let people to have some time to trust our project, and then trying to ask for the data sharing with them. So in short, it's always, if you want to face this participation from volunteers, you have to have like a friendly face, let's say.
Okay, so Evento Social Life was strong actually in Valencia. Yeah,
Yes.
because I saw many articles you provide from Valencia Sostenible and also on social media. So actually, you were very active in engaging the end user, not just for Evento, but also for other actions that you are running in Valencia Sostenible. So great job, guys. So moving on to the actions. What Evento solutions or activities did you implement in the Valencia pilot site?
So the one-stop shop developed in Evento rely strongly in the data gathering and showing it in a friendly way to the users. So the main point was to feed live data of comfort parameters to the platform. And also, in our case, it was not live, but also the energy consumption to feed the platform. So we have this profile of energy consumption and the impact on the thermal and the behavior of the flats, let's say. So this was the main point addressed in Valencia. We wanted to have this data before and after the renovation, also during, because renovation, as I mentioned before, are not short projects, they are long. So data also talking about how the work are progressing is very key. And we also had the digital model, the BIM model of the building fit the platform. So let's say that the main solution here it was to having real data to replicate digitally our building and have the basis for the understanding how it performs and how to optimize the use of energy.
Let's move to another curious question that I have. I'm a very curious person. So what worked especially well in this implementation or in the pilot site demonstration? What will you highlight?
Uh, so something that we saw is that people don't know or we don't know how to use an efficient building or flat. So even if you have a brand new refurbished flat, if you don't have access to information, you are maybe not having the most efficient habits for it. So I think that, and it was also shared by the volunteers, that having access to live data about the performance of your flat is key. So I think that this was very well. Our colleagues in the project in the technical side, of course, this did a great job to have this available, to have this data available in live in real time. Something that the volunteers told us that is very, very key to have access to transparent data about the energy and the energy consumption and the comfort levels because it empowers them. So I think this part of the Evento platform of showing how your flat is behaving is key to homeowners to really understand what does an efficient flat mean.
Okay, so now in a way you have to persuade the homeowners, no, to have all the devices installed at home, etc. Because I think for them sometimes it's a little bit annoying to have all these devices, people coming, taking data, etc.
Of course, and that's why I comment that trust is key because people don't know what a device does. And in our case, it was a very, very small device. They don't even need installation. It's only something that you put on the table, but it's an strange device.
Yeah,
So
sure.
it's always,
Yeah. Okay, nice. So something actually worked exactly well as planned.
of course.
That's rare. Is sometimes in European projects because sometimes we are struggling with most of the time, right, with the end users because they are not very happy with the idea of collaborating. They don't trust you at the beginning. So yeah, sounds
We have
really
to
really. Hmm,
we have to understand that we are
hmm.
working on this every day, but they don't. So
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
have to give things for granted, and we
Mhm.
have to be very transparent.
Yeah, sure. So now let's look at the big picture of the project. So what is the main impact of EBENTO in your pilot site?
So let's say that Valencia, in these mild temperature conditions in the Mediterranean coast, uh, we don't have even, well, in Europe we have very ambitious goals with renovation, but in Valencia we don't have these broad success examples of buildings being renovated. Our renovation works are in a very low rate. So having this project in which we were very deep working with the both the neighbors and the professionals that perform the works, having this example also gave us in Valencia Sostenible very reliable data to understand what were the barriers and what are the benefits of having these buildings renovated. So and also having the example of a digital platform that can work to help this is key for us. I think that is a very good foundation to give the next steps in our entity.
Okay, so it's opened the doors for replicability, maybe for other projects, other initiatives, etc. Not just in the within the European framework, right? But
Y-
also for the local projects, let's say.
Yes, we have to think that these, let's say, global at Europe goals are shared by all of us, but in our contexts, we have to work locally
Mm,
uh, with the key stakeholders, which are, let's say, mainly the private homeowners and the professionals working on the renovation. So having these local examples are also key to keep fostering. You can replicate and share lessons learned with other cities, which is because we share many barriers and many opportunities, but you have to understand your very local context.
mhm.
So having tried this project in our local context is a success for us.
And do you expect long-term benefits or a continuation after the project ends?
Yes, because as I commented, we have the proximity offices, the energy offices, in which we work face to face with citizens. But having this experiment or test with a digital platform, we also learn what is the value of having this. So for sure, we will keep working on this, how to combine the in-person appointments with digital tools. I think that it's not easy to directly offer people a digital platform because they are not related to that. So, and as we commented, we were lucky that we have many technical profiles, but that's not common. Having just the hope that voluntarily the citizens or professionals will go to a digital platform is a bad idea. So we have to see in Valencia how to combine the in-person help, let's say, or assistance with the digital tools, which of course have a lot of potential.
Okay. So Bento is ending, but not really ending, right? You have an open door of potential related projects.
There is always potential, yes.
So you have been very active in Valencia when it comes to reaching out to local media. I have seen quite a lot of visibility for your pilot. That's not always easy. So congratulations on that. Could you tell us how you managed to get so much attention from local media?
So I think that's the the outcome of having Valencia Sostenible so present in the different aspects of energy efficiency and actually committing the climate change impact in our city. We work in many different phases of this problem. So I think that we have a very good reputation because we always focus on how to involve the key stakeholders. As I commented that we have to be very trustworthy and close to the neighbors in our pilot, we are also very present in the local life in the different stakeholders. So having all this portfolio of success projects in the past from Valencia Sostenible gave us a very good foundation to keep offering to the media, let's say, ambience in Valencia. We're working now in the renovation project. This is a key thing in Europe. Come, listen, and learn what we are working in Europe for this. So I think that having like a good reputation in your local context is always key to have good results in media.
Also, you have the wave of being European green capital 2 years ago. So also that helps, I guess.
Of course, Valencia has a very good branding in going towards sustainability and climate neutrality. So of course, this was a very good help.
And this is always my favorite part and users actually. In this kind of projects, they are key. Without that, of course, there is not possible project. So what feedback did you receive from end users? And was there any comment or reaction that really stated with you?
So the main point is that they were very satisfied with the project's participation. We weren't deep in information when they were open for that, and we learned also when not to go that deep. I mean, going to the private places in the most private places in the city, which are the homeowners' homes, let's say, is something to take very seriously. But in the end, there was a satisfaction. So, and as I commented, having access to data is something that they very evaluate very positively. And for example, so I remember two comments from the participants. There was a couple that they were very active in their efficient and sustainable habits. But even though they know that they are very proactive, like having access to the data and knowing that they can have these alarms or let's say messages coming from the EBENTO platform, it gave them also the opportunity to be more conscious about what's happening in their flat. But because maybe they were thinking that they were using like efficiently the heating system, let's say, but having real access is like maybe we don't need to be at 26 degrees. Maybe we can be like lower, still be in comfort and spend less energy. So this was something that I remember that it was nice to hear from them. And also, as I commented, renovation projects are long, tedious, and sometimes are very emotional. Let's say in a big community or even small communities. So there was also one neighbor that told us that having access in the platform of seeing how the works evolve, because in EBENTO we can also show like a logbook on what's happening in the project, like which phases are being covered in which time. It's also something that can calm the homeowners and be more in contact with the professionals. Because if you are living in your building for 1 year, 2 years, with all these works, with all this dust, people working, the noise, having access to what's happening is very, very key.
And actually, what did they like most participating in EBENTO project? And did they face any challenge during this participation?
What they like the most is having access to data, but also the simplification. I mean, if you have technical data for some profiles, it's very hard to know what is happening there. So, for example, having access to how much energy and at what price they were consuming energy In some cases, it lead to them to change their contracts and save money. So they were very happy on this. So this is very valuable. Well, the challenge was more related to us on how to keep them engaged. We were having the participation for 2 years, so always offering them news on what's happening on the project and offering them also parallel information to energy efficiency and home renovation is always key to keep the interest in participating. So this is a challenge. If you are planning to have volunteers for a long period, you have to think like a strategy to keep them enrolled.
So honest feedback actually always a little bit scary, right? But also the best part, I think, no?
It's
In
very
this
it's
kind of projects.
when you finally achieve this trustworthy connection, it's very nice because you learn also a lot of many different things that you didn't think before. So always having these cooperation projects is very, very, very rich.
What are the key lessons learned from your pilot side?
I think I'm coming back to the same, but I think that having the citizens very well informed is key. The private or the built stock is mostly in hands of private households. So giving them trustworthy and technical and very based information is key. So this is one of the most valuable thing that we can draft from this project, that having and offering citizens, and when I talk about citizens, is homeowners as the private owners, but also the market, the professionals. When there are a renovation wave, let's say, it's good because we are going towards our goals of renovation, but we also have some tension in the market because the offer is at some point they reach their limits. So also helping them to try to get their place in the market, and also very important when there are subsidies to help people on how to access them, because these projects are I mean, they are costly, and it's not always easy to put in common in a condominium to make this decision in groups is very hard if you don't have the right information. So this is the key lesson learned, that information in this aspect is also power, and our point is to make it more clear and accessible.
Somehow you have also to do the effort of translate all the technical details, right, for the homeowners, because for them sometimes it's quite complicated to understand. So making them easy, it's the hardest part actually of that, right?
Yeah, working in these
Sometimes.
technical projects sometimes make you think that everyone understands the concept the same, and there are there is auto information out there, but there is also bad information. So also misinformation is around there, and understand these kind of things when it implies so much money is very hard. So this is the key lesson: transparent information when these projects are. We know that it is so tedious, long, and costly.
And what's best practice will you share with other projects, for example?
So as we said, that the data that we gather from the volunteers is that valuable for the project. We wanted to show in a platform how the flat behaves. We said that having the participation is key. So the one of the best practices that we could share with similar projects is to have a good strategy on how to work with participants. Not let it just to have some connections from once a month or like that, because you need a strategy. Participants have to perceive that you have a good plan and you are not just asking for information. It's private information, so you always have to think on what is the moment to ask for which kind of information, and what can you give them as a counterpart of sharing this, because they also have to win something. Sometimes when we work with pilots, we are in a study phase for the product that, of course, in the future can have a lot of value, but maybe for the participants they don't have like clear value of this. So always have this strategy on offering them what is the reward, let's say, with the project. Sometimes we don't have much to offer other than information, But as we commented, information in this kind of things is very, very important.
What kind of feedback you have offered them or rewarded information?
It was something that we did in from our team, is to offer them like the charts and the information like very well in a friendly, user-friendly way on how their flats or homes perform actually. So you can have like some statistics and some graphics showing how these 2 years went in their home, like having the evolution of the temperature and so I think that it was also something very interesting from them because with all the data that we gather, we show in some cases that they were performing better. In some cases, they were performing the same because this is also something very key. Having an efficient appliance or an efficient flat, it doesn't mean anything if we don't change our habits. I mean, we can have the best and the most efficient flat and the construction and the best walls, but if we keep using our appliances without no responsibility or inefficient habits, we will still overusing energy. So this was something that we wanted to prepare to them, that showing that what Evento gathered in this time, how the platform process the information and show them in a very user-friendly way.
Okay, so it was like a master class for them, right?
More than
In
that is
energy
like,
efficiency and renovation.
oh yes. Sometimes, but it depends on the individual interest.
Yeah,
You can.
sure, but yeah. And thinking at European level, how do your results contribute to European priorities and policies?
We know that we have ambitious goals in terms of renovation in Europe, in the whole continent. But we are talking about a Mediterranean city. Of course, we have cold in winter, but it's not the main problem. We also have very hot, and year by year is getting worse the hot summers. But the point, as we commented before, the built stock is in hands of private owners. So we can try to push it from the projects to for energy renovation, but in the end, it's their decision. So I think that the results of Evento, having worked and tested an online platform that tries to be more transparent, Evento is pursuing to have the most reliable data on how a renovated flat behaves. I think that this helps to take the decision for the homeowners whether if they start the renovation project or not, because it is key when a building of a mm, condominium building is voting if they start or not with the renovation is a key moment. In this moment, you need very good information because if they say no, they will not do it, at least for some years until someone keeps putting this on the table. So this is the contribution of the of Evento, I think. So to give transparent and technical data to take the best decision in this term.
Okay, thank you. And can your solutions be replicated? I think yes, in other cities or regions. I guess in the Mediterranean, right? Yes.
Yeah,
But in other cities or regions?
it is of course replicable in other contexts because yes, we are in a mild climate region. Uh, we can compare with Mediterranean cities, but if we compare to a city in the north of Europe, yes, they will have a different climate condition. Of course, they will have different legislative and normative context, but people usually behave similar, let's say, in this context. So, of course, we have to adapt the lessons learned to the local context, but often the barriers are the same and the opportunities are also similar. And of course, the main barrier in this kind of projects is the financing.
So from Valencia to Europe, not bad at all. And finally, what are the next steps after Evento for you guys? And are there plans to scale or continue the work?
So, as mentioned before, in Valencia Sostenible, we are very in contact with the citizens at the street level, let's say, from our energy offices. And of course, there is next steps planned. And the idea is how to go to a next level with the appointments, because we have in-person appointments with the citizens that come to the offices, and this is very, very good because they you can study the personal situation and give the best tailor made information for them. But often, because the model in Valencia and in many cities is that we have multi-family or multi-flat buildings, so they have to decide in group how to translate this information from an individual to a community. So what if we combine the physical and the online one-stop shops? If we keep the in-person meetings, we can do the personal treatment of the case, but also giving them the opportunity to learn how to use a digital platform to also translate and or show the other professionals or the neighbors the information, I think is key, because we are not in these private meetings to decide, but if we offer the opportunity to have access to this transparent data, is key. So we are very eager to see how to combine both worlds, the physical and the online one-stop shops.
The next chapter coming, right?
Always thinking of the next.
So Alejandro, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. It has been a pleasure to hear about your work on the Valencia pilot site. And everyone watching, thank you for being part of the EBENTO journey. So I see you soon. And thank you very much for everything and for your great work within EBENTO.
Thank you, Raquel. Pleasure.
Thank you.